Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar from Cradle to College, helping families claim CalKIDS accounts. My name is Keisha Nzewi, and I'm co-founder and woman in charge of Black Californians United for Early Care and Education. And before I get started, I want to remind you how to access interpretation. So during the webinar, you'll look at the bottom. You won't see it yet, but in a minute, you're going to look to the bottom of the Zoom screen and click the globe icon that's labeled interpretation. And from there, you'll select your preferred language, which should be English or Spanish. And we recommend selecting mute original audio, which will allow you to hear only the interpreter if you are being interpreted. So I'm going to pass it to our interpreter to give Spanish instructions.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos. Tenemos interpretación en español disponible. Junto conmigo va a interpretar mi colega Lili. Les voy a dar las instrucciones para acceder a la interpretación. Tomen en cuenta que la función se va a encender después de este mensaje. Así que para encender la interpretación, va a tener que seleccionar el globo abajo de la pantalla. Si está usando una computadora, va a seleccionar el globo, interpretación de idioma o language interpretation, el español como su idioma de preferencia. Seleccione silenciar el audio original y presione finalizar o activar la función de interpretación. Si está usando un celular, toque la pantalla, va a haber tres puntitos abajo de la pantalla, interpretación de idioma, español, silenciar el audio original y done, finalizar. Gracias. Okay, thank you, and we are ready to be set up for interpretation.
Thank you. So again, just click the globe at the bottom. So we are really happy to have you all here. And I imagine that you may have never heard of Bringing Up California, but hopefully this isn't the first time you've heard from us. I'm an OG, what do we call it? Steering committee member. Although our name is relatively new, this group has been together since the fall of 2019 in some form of another. We envision that a society rooted in racial and economic justice, where all children are embraced, valued, and cared for, where every Black, Native American, Asian American, Pacific Islander, and Latina child and their family has access to systems and services that promote their health, well-being, and life opportunities that enable them to thrive. So our mission is to advance a collective whole child equity agenda that seeks to improve the conditions under which children develop, learn, live, and play, celebrate and value the strengths and attributes of their racial, cultural, linguistic identity, and support their sense of belonging. And so, in short, together we work to make California the best state to have, raise, and be a child. So we are so happy you're here to learn about CalKIDS and how you can help your communities access their CalKIDS account. So we're going to start off with a poll where we want to understand of the folks who are here joining us today, what's your familiarity with CalKIDS? So now we're ready to launch the poll, and you'll just select if you're not familiar with it, you've heard of it, but you haven't really played around with it at all. You have claimed an account, or you've supported someone else in claiming their account. So that poll will launch momentarily. Oh, if right now you can just answer number one. Or I guess we could do a pre-post. You can answer both of them. And Monique, I'll let you decide when to close the poll because I can't see how many responses there are.
Perfect. I'll let a few more answer because you're about 65% right now.
Great. Thank you for taking our poll. So it looks like most people, like 70, almost 75% of us, are unfamiliar or have heard of it, but have never done anything with it. Therefore, it makes sense that most of us also aren't still have a good amount of questions about how to support someone through it, or feel a little bit prepared. I'm really pleased to see 20%. That's more than we would have expected, I think, who are ready to help people, prepared and ready. So now I'm really pleased to pass it on to my colleague Crystal, who's going to dig right in with our first panel.
Thank you, Keisha. Hi, everyone. My name is Cristal Gonzalez. I'm the director of Semillitas at Ventures. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I'm excited for this conversation. We're going to talk about CalKIDS, why programs like this matter, and what it really takes to make sure families can access and benefit from them. And I would like to introduce our speakers. If you can go to the next slide, please. I'm really happy to be joined by two amazing speakers today. First, we have Dana Salas. Dana is an outreach specialist with the State Treasurer's Office and has spent over a decade helping families access resources that support higher education. She brings a ton of experience in community engagement and really focuses on connecting families to programs that make college more affordable. And we also have Maria Cadenas. She's the executive director of Ventures. Maria has over 20 years of experience building programs that center equity and community. She led the launch of Semillitas, which provides a college savings account for every newborn in Santa Cruz County, and has led major efforts like UndocuFund Monterey Bay and Regional Guaranteed Income Pilot. She's now leading work around worker cooperatives in the region. So I'm going to first kick it off with Dana. Dana, let's start with you. If you can give us a quick overview of CalKIDS and what makes it such an important statewide initiative for children and families in California.
Yes, of course. So to start, CalKIDS it was launched in 2022 from California, and it has a clear mission. So to help jumpstart college savings for children statewide, and it awards scholarship accounts to youth across the state. These awards can be up to $1,500, and the funds, they're invested until they're ready for college and other post-secondary education programs. There are two groups that are eligible. So all newborns in California beginning the year 2022 and on. And the other group is low to moderate income public school students across California. So it's really important for these youth to have these funds, and they're not just the dollars, they're really an investment in their dreams and in California's future. So every child really deserves the belief and support that their dreams can be real. So with this program, it really helps aid them in that. And there's over 5 million children in California that have these funds. So it's really important for the community to know about it, that they have this for them. It's for them.
Thank you, Dana. Maria, I'd love to bring you in. From your experience, why do programs like CalKIDS and Semillitas matter for the families and communities you serve?
Thank you, Cristal, and thank you bringing up California for hosting today. Semillitas and CalKIDS at core is more than an investment. It's a recognition of the value of our children and the future that they bring to the state. Coming in early to families to recognize how they belong and participate, and how as a society we support their dreams and growth is really critical. I'm going to get a little pragmatic for those who like data, but we have a birthday rate in the state and in our region especially, which is like heavily funded to low income families. families where Medi-Cal is the insurer of that birth. We have a significant population that's never experienced, from the parent side, college education or post-secondary education. And there's also a big wealth and income gap that we face as a society that may diminish the aspirations of potential of economic mobility. A program like CalKIDS and a program like Semillitas that begins at birth starts to shift those aspirations from the beginning. It opens up the possibility that it is not just the parent responsible for the child, but the community's care to walk together as the child grows, and in believing in what they can achieve, both as a society and as individuals, to contribute. And in that, we improve health, we improve economic mobility, we improve academic aspirations. That is the value of a really centered approach that is universal, that is consistent with and believing in the value of children in our state.
Thank you, Maria. Dana, going back to you, if you can share a little bit about the vision behind creating CalKIDS and why was it important for the state to invest in children's future through this model?
Yeah, well, first off, I'll share some stats too. So there's some studies that show that children with a college savings account are 3 times more likely to attend college, and children with a college savings account are 4 times more likely to graduate from college. So it just shows that this motivates youth to have these higher education goals because they see that there is something set aside, reserved for them in the future, and in the long run these youth and students, they will use these funds for higher education, they'll reach their career goals, and in the long run, it's really contributing to California's future. And it's so important that the state invested in this for that reason, for the California's future and all these youths that they can have the dreams realized. And so by ensuring that families are informed about CalKIDS scholarships, we're really helping to unlock the college savings that are already set aside for these students. And every notification that they get that they have this scholarship is really a step forward towards a future with more students that can really see college not just as a dream, but a real and reachable goal. So that's one of the main reasons that this CalKIDS program was created, so that the students have the ability to get started.
Thanks, Dana. Maria, from your perspective, what do you think are the barriers that families face when navigating savings, education, and financial systems?
There are multiple barriers, and they're both based on class, immigration status, education level of the parents. So for savings or financial vehicles, one of the biggest challenges is actually literacy. When we have pockets in the state with literacy levels under 3rd grade, for example, and most financial products have a reading level at the college level, it makes accessibility to understand those vehicles a little difficult. The other piece, especially for California, is the comfort of parents with financial institutions and financial products, including banks. How they trust them or don't trust them based on their personal experience, and recognizing that the asset, in this case, CalKIDS or a Semillitas account or whatever your local college savings account program may be, is to be trusted outside of the parent's status, and whether it be class, economic, race, that this is an investment on the child. That's the beauty of the universal approach that's happening at birth in California, that's happening in Santa Cruz County. And then when you have much more limited products, like as wonderful as low-income and moderate-income children getting an account through CalKIDS, it leaves some kids out, right? And we never know, families' economic mobility may change throughout the child's growth. So one of the limitations is that trust of who gets to participate in the long term, and how do we make sure that it is accessible, and that the child knows that this is an investment for them. The other barrier is the recognition that no matter how much we're investing in our kids, the reality is the cost of college or post-secondary education is still significant. As a society, as a connection, is not only the recognition and awareness of this valuable investment and partnership with families and children, but also a commitment as a state to continue to make education accessible for all kids. So those are some barriers that need to be called out.
Dana, this is more of a question on like why do these accounts matter? I know you answered it a little bit, but if you can go a little bit more in depth of like why do you think these child savings accounts matter, especially for families who haven't historically had access to wealth building opportunities?
Yeah, so with CalKIDS, it really opens up the resources that are available to them. Many think that there's not really a lot out there, but with this program, it really opens the doors. And like I mentioned with those statistics, when as children have something set aside for them, it really motivates them. But CalKIDS was really created to reduce the financial barriers to higher education. So for these families across the state, and there's some students that have shared what they have experienced with CalKIDS, and they say that, well, before they struggled to attend because there's a lot of costs associated with it, and some of them may had like two jobs to pay for college and all the supplies. But when they were awarded these CalKIDS funds, they have said that they felt relief. That there's something that gets them started with this CalKIDS program. It is a seed, so it gets them started. And then when families know that it's working, they're more likely to keep saving. So we also have our Scholarship 529 program that families can opt to save their own funds and even modest savings, $1 minimum. If they want to save $25 a month, it really adds up. So they could see that it's easy for them to get started because they have this seed and they can continue their savings and for future generations as well. So this really opens the doors for them to know that, hey, it's accessible.
Thank you. Maria, you talked about this with barriers. And if you can talk a little bit more of like how do organizations like Semillitas or other community-based organizations help families understand trust and access CalKIDS account? How could we gain trust from them that these accounts are real?
I think for community-based organizations like many of you here today, we already have trust. Our community already trusts us to be messengers. And like Dana mentioned, the way these accounts work is not so much the creation of the account, but the visibility, contact, relationship, and awareness that the account exists over time, like a consistent connection. So community members can educate their community partners, participants, that the account exists, that it is there for them. That messaging is really critical. And it's both for local programs as for the state program, is that conversation. And sometimes you just need a little bit of navigation support. As local partners, we know our communities, we know languages, we know cultural barriers, we know ways that can make the program more accessible for them to understand how it works and the benefits to it. I think that's the biggest thing that we have as community partners in facilitating and leveraging the investment of the state to have those conversations and that reminder and those touch points that the accounts are there for families.
Dana, could you talk a little bit more about how CalKIDS help shape college expectations or long-term pathways for kids, especially newborns?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we are ensuring that families are informed about CalKIDS scholarships, we're really helping to unlock the college savings that have already been set aside for the students and the youth. And every notification, like I mentioned, is just another step for students to see college as not just a dream, but a real goal. And with CalKIDS, with all the statistics that show that when students have something set aside for them, it really just opens the doors for them. And like I mentioned earlier as well, so some of the students that they shared how their experience has really helped them. It really just gives them some sense of relief and for their family members, like let's say they have brothers and sisters, they may be eligible as well. So then the student will tell their siblings and it'll just be a domino effect where the students, their family will continue to have these scholarships and it'll just be a family thing. every child in their family will attend college, so it trickles down and it really gives them that opportunity that they may think that they didn't have before.
Maria, what do you think? How does this look like in real life when families engage with programs like Semitas or CalKIDS? How does their thinking start to shift? Why is it important for outreach to be culturally responsive and rooted in community relationships?
Thanks, Cristal. And, Semillitas, and I'll just use us as an example, is a program in Santa Cruz County. It really started with family conversations. The design of Semillitas, the model of Semillitas was led by and directed by both first-gen college students, new parents, expecting parents, working class families, people with a degree and without a degree, and from different cultural backgrounds and language needs. In fact, Semillitas was in deep conversations with ScholarShare as CalKIDS was being designed, because we knew that it was important that we shared the knowledge and the findings that allowed Semillitas development to be culturally responsive from the get-go and family informed from the get-go. It facilitated the trust and ownership of the program, and it also ensured the engagement of the parents as guiding lights of how the program developed. How parents react, to me, has always been a gift, because we knew it was going to be good. But to see new parents look at their children and tell them you're going to college and you're not going to have to do what I did is both a reflection of the aspirations that can shift so quickly for a simple intervention, and also of the challenges that working parents have right now that have limited their future and the dreams for themselves. To me, that's what we see on the ground. We see an older sibling who sees their newborn sibling be told they have an account, and they're in the room with the parent, and that child, who may be just 5 years old, say, "Hey, I'm going to be a doctor too now." There's no measurement of that. That transforms what the future of those families are. And if you look at it from a lens of child development, the brain development from 0 to 5 is critical. The social development of the child, the health of the mother, it brings connection, and it will set the stage for the growth for the rest of their life. So to me, CalKIDS and Semillitas is an asset for the dreams of college future. And it is also an investment in the connection to parents, into the growth of our children and their development for a better California.
Thank you. Dana, thinking about partnerships, we know programs don't work in isolation. What role do you think community organizations and trusted partners play in helping families access CalKIDS?
So families, they trust community organizations. They're on the ground. They know who they're working with, and schools, their child, their school, they trust them. So having that trust is important. So with CalKIDS, at first, families may be skeptical about this free money, but when they hear it from a trusted source in the community, like their schools, other community organizations, they're more likely to say, "Okay, this is real. Let's go. Let's do it." So we really rely on partners to help us reach the families, because my team with the outreach specialists throughout California, we work hard to really connect with partners. So that, because there's millions of kids that are eligible, like I mentioned, 5 million kids. So we really rely on these partners to help us to reach these families on the ground, and especially those who have had limited access to these type of resources. The partners really help. They know what the families need. In schools in particular, they have this opportunity to help the students get connected with the CalKIDS funds out there, so they can help with claiming, and they really know the students, so they know how to reach them. So it's really important that this requirement to claim the CalKIDS accounts is an opportunity for them to really connect with students and give them the resources that are available for them. And the students will no doubt be so grateful for their help as well.
Thanks. Maria, building on that, what does meaningful engagement look like beyond awareness that helps families stay connected over time?
Okay. I think I just want to lean a little bit on the prior questions because they're all interconnected. What I want to say for those parents or CBOs on this call today is that the rollout of CalKIDS happened in 2 stages. And in the first year, every low and moderate income child in public school, all the way to 12th grade, got the account. And in addition, all the newborns. So you may have a child who is not in the 1st grade right now, but has an account because they were in public school enrolled as low and moderate income. So it is important that if you have a child that is in that qualifying sector, and then there's additional support for those that might have been in the foster system or in house, it's money there that we want to make sure people are aware of and that those children have access to as they graduate the K-12 system. And then that is part of the engagement, the recognition of how much funding is available, encouraging people to check in case they have those accounts. And for local systems, is that constant communication. You're talking about meaningful engagement. I always say the engagement is not so much about the money, although money matters. I wouldn't be in economic justice if it didn't. But it is about our recognition of each other and our collective care of our children's future. And so when you engage with a family, whether it's that you're doing food assistance or rental assistance or parent education, or you're working with a birth worker, or you're working with your childcare provider, each of those touch points are meaningful interactions for the child's development, and the family's mobility. So all of those are opportunities to say, hey, by the way, did you know about CalKIDS? And hey, by the way, the state is investing in this. And if you have a local program, you could also say, and we as your neighbors are invested in your child as well. Those are meaningful engagements that just reaffirm the commitment to each other as a society and to the future of our children.
Thank you, Maria and Dana. I think those were the last questions. Thank you so much. This was such an important conversation. I think one of the biggest takeaways is that access isn't just about information. It's about trust, relationships, and making sure that families feel supported every step of the way. Programs like CalKIDS are powerful, not just because of the dollars, but because of the message they send that every child's future matters and they belong. With that, if you have any questions, we have a few minutes for questions you can put in the chat. If not, we're going to pass it to Bonicile that will lead us into the parent panel to hear directly from families and their experiences. Let me just wait a few minutes or seconds to see if there's any questions. And for the more technical questions, we will have a section towards the end of this webinar talking about how to claim the account. Not, I think, thank you again. Thank you both. We will pass it on to Monique.
Wait, there's some questions on the chat. Please start. There's can undocumented students qualify?
I can help with that. So students that are undocumented, if they were in a public school, a California public school beginning the year 21-22 in California, then they may be eligible. For the newborn group, obviously for newborns in California, they get a scholarship if they were born in California beginning July 1st of 2022 and on. So that's the newborn group. And then the public school student group, they could be undocumented. They may be eligible. They just had to have been enrolled in a California school beginning 21-22 school year.
are funds added by the state each year or just year one? I think you just answered that, but you want to take that?
Yeah, so it is just a one-time award. So if a baby's born, they get an award then. If a student is eligible, they would only get their award once. So yeah, it is just once, but the funds are invested throughout the years and it grows with earnings throughout the years until they're ready to use it for higher education in the future.
And are the monies available for kiddos born before 2020?
Unfortunately, no. Well, in a way, because in 2022, so that's when the program began, and babies born in California July 1st of 2022 and on are eligible. But for students, that student group, birth year is not a requirement. It's just if they were in a public school beginning 21, 22 and on.
I
Right.
have another one. What is the state and local CSAs doing to help ease parent confusion of the accounts?
Well, one thing for sure is when we partner with organizations, they bring us on. We do webinars specifically, like let's say we come in, do a presentation for a school district. We clear up the message that way because the parents hear directly from us what the program is. We really explain it step by step, and that really helps for families when they see like either in person or if whether it's a webinar directly for them, they get their questions answered. And those are some of the ways that we have worked with families.
And I think for local CSA programs, we work with CalKIDS to try to share the message of the availability of the funds. And I know there's still work on the table, the importance of finding the technology connection so that both accounts can become visible through whichever portal the parent joins in. So it's a collaborative effort to try to get to that point.
Thank you both again. I think we're not going to pass it to Bonicile. We will still have time at the end of the webinar for more questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Crystal. What a wonderful panel, very informational, and just really appreciate you guys' expertise in sharing more information about CalKIDS. So now, one of the pillars of bringing up California is to really elevate family voice. And instead of just hearing from, the experts and folks who are advocates in the policy space around CalKIDS, we wanted you to hear directly from parents who have actually claimed CalKIDS accounts. They're going to be able to share with you their unique experience and what, worked well, what may not have worked so well, so that you can hear directly from them to make sure that you get, holistic information around claiming CalKIDS accounts. So we have a parent panel. We have Andrea, we have Perry, we have Esther and Anna. And so I'm going to ask a few questions directed to a few of you. But first, just want to say that we really appreciate you guys being here and being willing to share your experience with CalKIDS. And we know that parents connect with other parents. So hearing your voice is really important. And we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. So, for the first question, it's really more so around your awareness and discovery. And I would like to hear from all of the parents for this question. So before claiming the accounts, what did you understand the CalKIDS program to be? And how did you first hear about it for your child and the scholarship that was available? And we can start with you, Andrea.
Sí, hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Andrea y soy mamá de 2 niños y soy parte del grupo de Semillitas. Yo me enteré de CalKIDS por medio del programa de Semillitas en un evento comunitario donde nos explicaron que era una beca para los futuros estudios de nuestros hijos, que era CalKIDS.
Thank you, Andrea. Perry, would you like to answer the question? Just before claiming it, what did you understand the CalKIDS program to be, and how did you first learn about it?
Sorry, I just unmuted myself here. I think it was either mail is how I found out about it. But before that, I had little understanding. I knew that California was interested in starting a program to help families save starting at birth, but I hadn't heard as much about it until after my son was born.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Okay. So the next question will be, what was that process like for you once it was time to actually claim the account? So you found out about it, and then how easy was that process for you to be able to claim the account? And we'll start with you, Andrea.
La verdad, no fue como un desafío ni obstáculo, porque gracias a que Semillitas nos explicaba como por medios de textos qué información teníamos que brindarles o qué información teníamos que llevar a esos eventos comunitarios. Y creo que era fue lo más fácil como mamá, reunir toda esa información para poder acceder a esa cuenta de CalKIDS.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrea. What about for you, Perry? How was that process for you?
I think it was pretty easy. I think I needed to dig out the birth certificate for like the universal ID that is on there. And I found it to be really simple to set up. The other thing that I appreciate is that I was interested in setting up a separate 529 plan for my son, but through ScholarShare, which is connected, it made it a lot easier to start that process. And in fact, we asked people to not give us gifts at certain times of the year, like birthdays, holidays, and to make a contribution into Jordan's 529 account.
That's really great. I do the same thing for my son. No more toys, but just, yeah,
Yeah,
contribute
we have
to his
plenty of
college
toys,
savings. Yes,
more than enough toys. So,
more than enough. Yeah. Oh, no, awesome. Were there any challenges or barriers that you encountered when you were trying to claim the account? And how do you think that the process could be improved, Andrea?
Como el proceso de reclamar la cuenta, pues sí fue un poquito complicado, pero gracias a que pudimos reunir la información que teníamos que llevar para poder obtener esta cuenta, siento que fue muy fácil. Simplemente era pues poder tener la información de tu hijo, un correo electrónico y creo que era lo más fácil y uno a veces se complicaba como, ay, ¿cómo voy a poder acceder a esto? Pero para mí en lo personal fue lo más fácil y gracias a la ayuda de Semillitas y su personal que siempre estuvieron dispuestos a brindarnos esa ayuda como en los eventos comunitarios que hacían para nosotros como padres.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea. What about for you, Perry? Were there any challenges or barriers, or how do you think that the process could have been improved?
I wish there was more of an announcement at birth, from like healthcare providers, from the pediatrician's office to like even the hospital. It not wasn't necessarily a barrier, but I think like more awareness for families at various different points is really important. Um, and no, I think it was pretty simple for me. I mean, mind you, I feel like I have a certain level of comfortability with these things. Um I think what would be helpful truly is more advertising to parents of younger children, of children who are, eligible at birth, essentially. So,
Awesome. Yes, just really equipping the healthcare system with having more information to share with families. I think that makes sense.
I think
Um,
also at like in early childhood settings as well, because it's never too late to sign up and claim this information. Yeah, I wish that like I know there are junctures in which I interact with systems and structures that interact with other people like me, other parents of young children, and I wish that there were more like, hey, make sure you do this.
right. Absolutely. Yeah, because we don't want to leave that money on the table. Um,
Exactly.
okay, so did you feel confident that the program was legitimate and safe? What helped you build that trust or raise concerns if any concerns came up? So when you were going about claiming the account, did you feel like this was something that you could trust and that felt legitimate for you, Andrea?
Pues la verdad, me siento muy segura, porque pues en los folletos que nos daban tenía mucha información acerca de lo que es esta cuenta y pues como padre la verdad te impulsa a ahorrar para el futuro de tu hijo para que llegue a un grado de universidad o a la universidad. Y siento que sí es muy seguro todo esto y gracias a ustedes que también nos impulsaron a llegar a reclamar estas cuentas. Más que nada como su personal, pues que de asistir a esos eventos y poder ver que todo esto es cierto para nuestros hijos y para el futuro de nuestros hijos.
So thank you for sharing that. What about for you, Perry? Did you feel like it was a legitimate program,
Yeah, I
that
think,
you
I
could
mean,
trust?
I definitely did. I think that the information laid out on the website, the security protocols on the website, like it was like I trust this information. It's from a government entity. I think the connecting with the scholar share account that is also, a 529 plan administered by the state for the citizens of California, I think is really also lended to that credibility as well.
Okay, awesome. What, just a follow-up question, what would you tell other parents, right, who may be skeptical about it? How would you convey to them that it is something that can be trusted and be legitimate? Like, what would you share with them about that?
I think obviously not on this webinar, but in an individual sort of circumstances, I would just log into my accounts and show them like, hey, it's really easy. Like you can see it here. Um, and yeah, that I literally point them to those resources myself. I think it's a show and tell kind of situation. Additionally, just driving people to the website. Like you can read more here. So.
Awesome. Okay. Has knowing your child, has knowing that your child already has money set aside changed how you think about their future, or has it influenced how your family plans for education? So you spoke to it a little bit, Perry, around just like having your family invest in the 529 account, but just knowing that your child has money set aside, has it changed how you think about their future or how you're planning for their future? Andrea, I'll go to you.
La verdad sí cambió mucho mi forma de pensar, porque teníamos otras prioridades, pero creo que la prioridad más grande es invertirle a tus hijos, como más que nada en la educación. Uno, pues como padre, apenas va empezando, como yo que tengo mis niños chiquitos, quería como invertirles en, juguetes, viajes, o X cosa, pero creo que hay otra prioridad más que son sus estudios. Y lo bonito es que, nos enseñaron como hubo una clase de salud financiera por parte de Adventures y ahí te das cuenta que sí, es muy importante saber ahorrar. El saber ahorrar para darles esa educación a tus hijos y poder tener como ya no tener como una preocupación más y saber que tienes ese dinero y que le vas a invertir a la cuenta de tu hijo para que tu hijo llegue a la universidad.
Thank you so much for sharing. What about for you, Perry? How has it made you feel knowing your child has money set aside already?
I mean, particularly in this economy, I feel a lot stronger about being able to send my child to college. I mean, the rising cost of higher education is absolutely crazy. I was really fortunate to have my grandmothers invest in me as a young person to save for college in advance. And so this was something that we always knew we were going to do. But I think that like having the infrastructure and having an extra $100 that like we didn't have to contribute, definitely like furthers the goal that we have. I think that um, yeah, I'm very confident that when my son reaches that age for post-secondary planning, like, we have options, and I definitely yeah, I think that it's very important uh for young people and families to know that this is a community investment. Like, we're all like investing in young people's futures here. And so I definitely will reinforce that message as a parent as well. So
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's great for both of you that it can be a generational thing. Just to know that to be intentional about putting money away, right, for the future. So when that time comes, when you're able to, or your child is able to claim those accounts, how confident do you feel about that process? So, once, I'm not sure how old your children are, but let's say that they're young and, they're able to claim the accounts once it's time for college. How confident do you feel about, telling them how to access them, or for you to be able to access the funds to be able to support them in their higher education journey? Andrea, we'll start with you.
Mm, Pues yo nada más tenía solo una pregunta. Cuando mi hijo cumple la mayoría de edad, ¿qué sería el proceso o los pasos para poder, obtener la cuenta?
Okay, thank you. Perry, yeah, how confident do you feel about that?
I feel like I've been like, yes, this has been really easy most of this webinar. However, this is an area where I wish there was a little bit more information on the post planning side. I mean, on the in the as it relates to him being able to access these accounts for post secondary education. I can't remember the age in which I set like the access because it's for a minor. But I do wish that there was a little bit more info on kind of the front end for that. I'm confident that I can find that information, but like setting it up, that was not very explicit or clear.
Absolutely. And since you claimed the accounts, do you get any regular communication
I do.
about it?
I get
Okay.
statement updates. Yep.
Okay. All right, so you get statement updates. And then does that come with any like additional info? So there hasn't been any more information around.
Sometimes there's like, here's the webinar or more information that you can follow up for things there. But and I'm sure if I reach out to somebody directly, like my questions can be answered. But I will say that like just on the front end of things, it's not very clear how it works at the end.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. So we have about 5 minutes, and so I wanted to see if there was any questions for the parents that the audience would like to answer. I'm looking in Q&A. Not sure, but I hope this is. Okay, so someone did ask, is there a Social Security number that's needed, and can undocumented students claim an account? So I don't know if you guys know that, but just curious, like if you had to submit your Social Security number.
I'm pretty sure I did, and I'm not sure how that would work for families that don't necessarily have that information. So
Okay. But it was something that in this process
I
you
know I
guys
had
had.
to provide. Yeah.
Okay. Andrea, same for you.
Sí.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions in
Oh,
the
there's an answer to that. SSNs are not required for CalKIDS. So I guess it was for the 529 plan that was required.
Got it. Okay. We'll just give a minute or so if there was anybody who has questions for you.
There was another question I think in the chat. There's like, how much money can parents contribute to these accounts? That is something that a person would need to consult a tax professional for. I know I make small contributions here and there yearly, and I haven't gotten any notifications that there's like a limit or I'm approaching a limit. But I definitely would suggest reaching out to a tax professional to answer that question.
But there was not a minimum. Was there a minimum
There was
requirement?
not a minimum. Nope.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. No minimum. Okay. Well, thank you both so much for being on our parent panel and sharing your experience. I am now going to pass it to Dana. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're gonna show you how to claim a CalKIDS scholarship. So as the parents today mentioned, some they thought it was easy, some may think it was different, but I'll give you an overview of how to claim it. So if you could go to the next slide, click once. Okay, so right here we have the main website. So you go to calkids.org, and that's calkids.org, basic that way. On there, you could choose a language. If you need a different language, you can choose that. There's a little globe that you can have a drop-down menu for. And I circled there at the very top, it says claim scholarship account. So you would click that, and then another page would come up. If you click again, there you go. So this page comes up. This is the claiming portal. So for CalKIDS, you only need 3 identifiers. As we mentioned, there's no social security numbers required. We don't need that. So everything that's needed is only what county, for if it's a newborn, what county were they born? If it's a student, what county were they enrolled in school? They will need to know their birth date. And for newborns, they need to enter their birth certificate registration number. For students, they just need their state student ID. So then you enter those 3 things, whichever applies, and then you click claim, and then the next image, this would come up. So basically claiming a CalKIDS account is for you to create a profile with CalKIDS. So you will need to have like a username and password so that you could log in and access the funds. So a child can claim it themselves. If they're older, they might have the capability to just claim it themselves. But for younger students or kids, the newborns, a parent may want to do it, obviously. So they would just need to enter a new email or a username and a password. So that's your choice. Then you go through all the steps, and it's that easy. Takes like less than 5 minutes. Then you click the next one, and then that would be claiming it. And then this would be how your profile would look like. So you could see the balance. I don't have more pictures to show, but if you go on your main profile, you can scroll down a little bit and it'll say request a distribution for all those children that are ready to use it and they're at least 17. They could log in here and request a distribution. And from there, the money goes directly to the higher education institution where the student will be in college. So that's basically how it would work, how the steps are of claiming a CalKIDS scholarship. And there are videos that we provided links for in the chat if you want a little bit more details on this, but this is basically how it would go. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, thank you all. We have a poll before we go to the call to action, I think. And it's kind of the same questions you answered earlier. So we should relaunch the poll because we're going to ask again, how prepared do you feel to support someone through the process of claiming a CalKIDS account? And the same choices will be available. There we go. And again, Monique, you can decide when we're done. Cool. Oh, look at how he flipped. Great results, you can see. So hopefully through this webinar, so far yes, we have definitely got more people off of number one in the first question and into feeling somewhat prepared and even more feeling prepared and ready. So it's really great to see. And obviously more of you have heard of it at this point. So we are going to, you just saw the steps that it takes to enroll in or to claim your CalKIDS account. And now we are going to move on to our call to action for all of you who've joined us.
And thank you everyone who joined us today. My name is Zaira Soto. I am with Grace. Before I give you the call to action, I wanted to just thank one of our parents who had some technical challenges and wasn't able to join us for the conversation, but has persisted in the chat. So check out what Ms. Ana Andrade or Emily has been sharing. I'm sorry, Emily Alarcon has been sharing in the chat. This is one of our parents who is a CalKIDS parent and who just shares her insight with you all. So thank you. Gracias, Ana, por acompañarnos. So call to action, you heard from our parents today, from our community leaders about the importance of CalKIDS and ensuring that our children are a step ahead, right? And that they can envision a future where they can pursue an education or a career with some financial support. So today we want to ask you as a community leader, as an organization who has relationship with families, with parents, to join us in ensuring that more families can access and register for their CalKIDS accounts. And doing so by, again, sharing information on your websites, on your social media accounts, by hosting CalKIDS registration events, by partnering, leveraging your partnerships with other nonprofit organizations or faith-based organizations or schools, right? One of the requirements for some of our children is to use their school SSID, right? So partnering with schools makes sense in that way. And so again, we ask of you to highlight this program, to uplift it, to speak about it, to send out information to your contacts, to your families, because we know that it has real implications for our children's future. If they can continue, if they can start building on these savings accounts now, imagine what these might look like, right? When they turn 18 and they're ready to take that next step. Following this webinar, we're going to be sending you all a toolkit to assist you with your outreach. If you have questions, again, reach out. You have resources here with us with Bringing Up California Coalition in our network of parents. So please use this as a resource. Of course, you also have ScholarShare. Dana is a great resource. Dana and her team are a great resource. But please take action and help us ensure that more families can claim these funds to secure their children's future. So with that, let me hand it off to my colleague Dubray, who's gonna close this out.
Thank you so much. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is DeBray Sanders. I'm the advocate for justice and Black policy with Black ECE. I want to thank all of you so much for coming out today. Really appreciate it, and also just learning about this great program and opportunity to help support families and also help plan for college or other opportunities for their children. We will be sending out like was previously mentioned, a document that kind of gives you a lot of the information you're looking for. I know that was a last Q&A question. That'll be coming in the next few weeks, and we're looking forward to kind of giving folks just a kind of a guide that they can not only have for themselves, but also can share with families to make sure that, hey, if there are any questions that are coming up, that they're able to answer them. In the meantime, please continue to follow our emails, look at our website, look at our social media. We'll be posting more information about this. And again, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.